So, I have decided in my infinite wisdom that I am going to read to you all the truly incredible tale of 10-cent beer night. This may be strange to say, but it's one of my favorite Wikipedia articles. It's honestly one of the best. This one, Disco Demolition Night, and the one about Old Man Henderson are all fantastic, but I'm going to read this one because it's very good, and also I wanted to read something funny. So, without further ado, 10-cent beer night. 10-cent beer night was a promotion held by Major League Baseball's Cleveland Indians during a game against the Texas Rangers at Cleveland Stadium on Tuesday, June 4th, 1974. The idea behind the promotion was to attract more fans to the game by offering 12 U.S. fluid ounces, 354.9 milliliter cups of 3.2% beer for just 10 cents each. Regular price was 65 cents, with a limit of 6 per purchase, but with no limit on the number of purchases made during the game. During the game, fans became heavily intoxicated, culminating in a riot in the ninth inning, which caused the game to be forfeited due to the crowd's uncontrollable rowdiness, and because the game could not be resumed in a timely manner. Background. The Indians had previously held such promotions without incident, beginning with Nickel Beer Day in 1971. However, a bench-clearing brawl in the team's last meeting 1 week earlier at Arlington Stadium in Texas left some Indians fans harboring a grudge against the Rangers. In Texas, the trouble had started at the bottom of the fourth inning with a walk to the Rangers' Tom Grieve, followed by a Lenny Randle single. The next batter hit a double ball play to the Indians' third baseman, John Lowenstein. He stepped on the third base bag to retire Grieve and threw the ball to second base, but Randall disrupted the play with a hard slide into second baseman Jack Brohammer. Yes, Jack Brohammer? Brohammer? It's only got one M, but I like Brohammer better. The Indians retaliated in the bottom of the eighth when pitcher Milt Wilcox threw behind Randall's legs. Randall eventually laid down a bunt. When Wilcox attempted to field it and tag Randall out, which he did successfully, Randall hit him with his forearm. Indians' first baseman John Ellis responded by punching Randall, and both benches emptied for a brawl. After the brawl was broken up, as Indians players and coaches returned to the dugout, they were struck by food and beer hurled by Rangers fans. Dave Duncan, catcher, had to be restrained from going into the stands to brawl with fans. The game was not suspended or forfeited, no players from either team were ejected, and the Rangers won 3-0. After the game, a Cleveland reporter asked Rangers manager Billy Martin, "Are you going to take your armor to Cleveland?" To which Martin replied, "Nah, they won't have enough fans there to worry about." During the week leading up to the team's next meeting in Cleveland, sports radio talk show host Pete Franklin and Indians radio announcer Joe Tate made comments that fueled the fans' animosity towards the Rangers. In addition, the Plain Dealer printed a cartoon the day of the game showing Chief Wahoo holding a pair of boxing gloves with the caption, "Be ready for anything." The game. Problems from the beginning. 6 days after the brawl in Texas, Cleveland's 10-cent beer night promotion drew 25,134 fans to Cleveland Stadium for the Indians-Rangers game, twice the number expected. The Rangers quickly took a 5-1 lead. Meanwhile, throughout the game, the inebriated crowd grew more and more unruly. Early in the game, Cleveland's Leron Lee hit a line drive into the stomach of Rangers pitcher Ferguson Jenkins, after which Jenkins dropped to the ground. Fans in the upper deck of the stadium cheered, then chanted, "Hit him again! Hit him again! Harder! Harder!" A woman ran out onto the Indians' on-deck circle and flashed her breasts, and a naked man sprinted to second base as Grieve hit his second home run of the game. 1 inning later, a father and son pair ran out onto the outfield and mooned the fans in the bleachers. As the game progressed, more fans ran onto the field and caused problems. Ranger Mike Hargrove, who would later manage the Indians and lead them to the World Series twice in 1995 and 1997, was pelted with hot dogs and spit, and at one point was nearly struck with an empty gallon jug of Thunderbird. The Rangers later argued a call in which Lee was called safe in a close play at third base, spiking Jenkins with his cleats in the process and forcing him to leave the game. The Rangers' angry response to this call enraged Cleveland fans, who again began throwing objects onto the field. Someone tossed lit firecrackers into the Rangers' bullpen. In the bottom of the ninth, Indians managed to rally, tying the game 5-5, and had Rusty Torres on second base, representing the potential winning run. However, with a crowd that had been drinking heavily for 9 innings, the situation finally came to a head. The riot. After the Indians had managed to tie the game, a 19-year-old fan named Terry Yurkic ran onto the field and attempted to steal Texas outfielder Jeff Burroughs' cap. Confronting the fan, Burroughs tripped. Thinking that Burroughs had been attacked, Texas manager Billy Martin charged onto the field with his players right behind, some wielding bats. A large number of intoxicated fans, some armed with knives, chains, and portions of the stadium seats that they had torn apart, surged onto the field, and others hurled bottles from the stands. Hundreds of fans surrounded the outnumbered Rangers. Realizing that the Rangers' lives might be in danger, Indians manager Ken Aspromonte ordered his players to grab bats and help the Rangers, attacking the team's own fans in the process. Rioters began throwing steel folding chairs, and Cleveland relief pitcher Tom Hilgendorf was hit in the head by one of them. Hargrove, after subduing one rioter in a fistfight, had to fight another on his way back to the Texas dugout. The two teams retreated off the field through the dugouts in groups, with players protecting each other. The bases were pulled up and stolen, and many rioters threw a vast array of objects including cups, rocks, bottles, batteries from radios, hot dogs, popcorn containers, and folding chairs. As a result, umpire crew chief Nestor Chilek, realizing that order would not be restored in a timely fashion, forfeited the game to Texas. He too was a victim of the rioters, as one struck and cut his head with part of a stadium seat, and his hand was cut by a thrown rock. He later called the fans uncontrollable beasts, and stated that he'd never seen anything like what had happened, except in a zoo. As Joe Tate and Herb Score called the riot live on radio, Score mentioned the security guard's inability to handle the crowd. He said, this is absolute tragedy." The Cleveland Police Department finally arrived to restore order. Later, Cleveland general manager Phil Seghai blamed the umpires for losing control of the game. The Sporting News wrote that Seghai's perspective might have been different had he been in Chilak's shoes, in the midst of knife-wielding, bottle-throwing, chair-tossing, fist-swinging drunks. The next beer night promotion on July 18th attracted 41,848 fans with beer, again selling for 10 cents per cup, but with a limit of 2 cups per purchase. American League President Phil McPhail commented, "There was no question that beer played a part in the riot."